I did a lot of psychedelics in my life. I'm not ashamed, nor I'm proud of it. It's just something that happened. If I'm being completely honest, though, I probably wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for psychedelics. Therefore, some would probably argue that I should be grateful to them, and in some sense, I definitely am. Using psychedelics just to see audiovisual distortions was never very interesting nor helpful to me. The experiences that have been the most useful were the experiences where I legitimately thought I had died. Most people would describe those experiences as having an ego death, or they would just label it as having a bad trip. Regardless, it's really hard to explain to someone who never had a similar experience that the thought of dying has been one of the most helpful experiences that you've experienced in your life.
If you are approaching life from a non-fearful perspective where your intention is to learn, then you can extract benefit from almost any experience. And these difficult psychedelic experiences, I genuinely believe, and this is what is maybe the hardest thing to communicate about psychedelics, is that it's the difficult ones that are often the best. Those are the ones that really teach you something. And when you're trying to talk about psychedelics with people who've never used them, it's not a great selling point to say, oh, the best thing that can happen is you're going to think you're going to die. But that is arguably the best thing that can happen, is to think that you're going to die.
As defined by Freud, the ego is an illusion that your mind creates just to make sense of yourself in the world. At least I think so. I didn't actually read his shit. The fact that you have a body and the fact that you're located somewhere in space-time is all part of the ego. Whenever you have an ego death, your mind completely dissolves the aforementioned concepts. It's like your consciousness returning to a place that you somehow know it must return to eventually. I strongly believe, admittedly without any sort of evidence, that the ego death that you experience under psychedelics is a sneak peek of the experience that you'll have once you actually die. Why exactly does an ego death feel so healing, though?
And it seems like there is one kind of trip that correlates with healing over time. And that is a trip that involves ego death. So if you have a psychedelic experience that involves just looking at colors, this does not appear to cure depression or treat PTSD. The trips that actually involve healing are ones where your sense of identity starts to crumble and fall apart, where your sense of connection to other people increases.
Every time I experience an ego death, the same thoughts pop into my mind. I'm not so reckless anymore to just use psychoactive substances without knowing what I should expect. Either way, I'm forced to face the epistemological limitations of knowledge when I'm faced with an extreme situation, such as my own death. What rights did I have to actually believe that this psychedelic journey wasn't going to kill me? I thought I was doing my due diligence by reading the Psychonaut Wiki and testing my substances, but did I just forget about the problem of induction? The sun rising every day doesn't necessarily mean it will rise tomorrow. Similarly, others having used the same substances I was abusing and surviving doesn't necessarily mean I ought to survive this experience. Therefore, if I'm indeed dead, that would be a bit unfortunate. Life wasn't perfect, but there are definitely a few things that I would still have enjoyed doing. Music I want to listen to, people I want to meet, things I want to study, content I want to watch. If I just learned to ignore the bad parts, then life could have been pretty good.